He did great things the Lord has done. Shall we give him a big hand clap? We are going to go into our second part of our function this afternoon. And this is the part of the book launch. So I will invite Dr. John Kabayo to please come and have a seat over here. Miss Charity Chivenjere, please do come. And Ambassador Olo, please do come. And I will invite I'll ask so we'll just wait for a minute. The bishop, who is also a big part of this book launch, is just taking off his robes, and he'll join us in a minute. And for this next part, it will be Albert Mugumya, who will be leading us in this, along with Eddie Makobore. So I'll ask Eddie and Albert.
I am the daughter to Stephen Kinuka Bakuma and Lilian Wanziga Mupende. I am the sister to my brother Yosian Husi Kinuka, and I am the grandchild of my Grandpa George, and my Grandma Rose. Today I'm going to be reading a small part in my grandfather's book, The Diplomatic Path of a Missionary's Son, my memoirs. I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do. On the personal front, retirement has afforded me precious moments with my family. All my children are now married and have started families of their own, blessing me with 4 biological children and numerous grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Additionally, I consider my extended family, whom I helped raise, as my own children, and they too have established their own families. Our family gatherings serve as opportunities to celebrate joyous occasions and provide support during challenging times. I have instilled in my family the importance of standing united in adversity, offering each other emotional, financial, and spiritual support whenever needed. This sense of solidarity and mutual care strengthens our bonds and enriches our lives. Thank you. Hello, I'm called Yosia, and I'm going to read for you. During my time at Makerere, I engaged in various sports activities, including swimming, taekwondo, and casual running for enjoyment. Recently, my physician informed me that despite being over 80 years old, my heart functions as if I was 40 years old. Did you guys know that also me, I do swimming, taekwondo, and casual running, football, and taekwondo, so I'll always be young like Grandpa.
A very big hand clap to the grandkids. That's awesome. We are going to go into our book panel discussion, stroke conversation, and among our eminent panelists. On my immediate right is Ambassador Bernadette Odowo-Frears. She was the first Ugandan woman ambassador to Germany and the first woman in the world to be accredited to the Vatican. She presented her credentials to the Pope in 1975. A big hand clap for her. You're very welcome, Ambassador Bernadette Odowo. Next is Miss Charity Chivenjere. She's the daughter of the late Bishop Chivenjere and Mrs. Merab Chivenjere. They need no introduction. She's a teacher, a development worker, and a church minister. You're very welcome. And on my extreme right is Dr. John Patrick Caballo, a relative of Ambassador Kinuka, an international civil servant, a rancher, a former member of parliament, and a delegate to the Constituent Assembly. You're very welcome. I'm going to request that I sit as I engage these eminent personalities. And I'm going to begin with Ms. Charity Chivenjere, a daughter of a clergyman. Please share your experiences as children of clergymen. Some of us, our parents were not clergymen. So you and Ambassador Kinuka, please share some of the anecdotes as children of the clergy and children of the East African revival and how you got to know the Kinukas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Albert. Greetings to all of you, brothers and sisters, friends. It really is a privilege for me to sit before you, to sit before such a powerful group of people and be able to share something of our own lives. As she said, children of a reverend. First of all, I just want to really congratulate our brother, Ambassador George, for being able to put down your memoirs in this book. Congratulations, we applaud you. Many people would want to do this, but they've not been able to do this. And so we appreciate this, and I know many are going to be encouraged to do the same and put down our own stories. Thank you so much. It's difficult to know where to start when you're talking about your own life. He says the life of a daughter of a reverend. My father was a reverend and a bishop, and I think many of you will be able to identify with some of the things that I say about being a daughter of a reverend. It's not unique. It's not very unique. We grew up in a family where things were very simple. You know, reverends are people who led very simple lives. I'm sure you can identify with that. Their salaries were not great, they were not big. But I must say one of the things we learned was to be contented. That even in the simple, leading simple lives where we did not have a lot of material things, we learned to be contented, you know? And that is a lesson that I've appreciated throughout all my life, you know, to be content. It was a life full of a lot of people around you, you know? Reverends led lives where you are part of a bigger family. We started from the beginning knowing that you were never just a simple family, but you are part of the bigger family of the brethren. Am I right, Abarokori? Tukakura part of the Barokori life, and these Barokori were part of your life. They were coming into your home, coming, going, drinking chai, you're cooking, all the time. That was our life. Am I right? And it was fun. It was challenging, but also it brought a lot of warmth in our own families, you know. And I want to connect this to the revival, because my parents were really products of the revival movement. They are very much part of the revival, products of the revival movement. My father got saved in the 40s, in the early 40s, and part of the revival, when you think about what the revival was what we saw was the love of the brethren. We grew up seeing the love of the brethren. We touched it, we lived it, we felt it, and we praised God so much for that, because it impacted us so much, even later on in our lives. Even when we think about many of us who became Christians, having been brought up by Christian families, one of the things we valued greatly was the love of the brethren, the fellowship, the openness, the walking in the light, not hiding anything from the other, you know. That I appreciated very much, and I think George in his book picked a bit of that and said, for us, we moved from family to family. If you are stuck here, you are moving to this family because of that oneness of the brethren. Maybe I can pause there.
Thank you very much, If your father was a priest, please stand up. If your father was a priest, please stand up. Or put up your hand. I can see Reverend Bunyanyezi family, Bishop Chibenjere family, Reverend Banyenzachi family, Archbishop Sabiti family, Bishop Sharita family. Let's clap for them. Charity, maybe the role of the mothers, the priests' wives, do you think they impacted?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. In fact, I had wanted to say something about that, but there are so many things to say, sometimes you don't know. But my own, I really want us to appreciate the wives of pastors and reverends, because when I think about my own father, who was an evangelist, not only was he a reverend, but he was an evangelist. So this man was on the move most of his life. Do you appreciate that? Yeah? He was on the move preaching. I can see Bishop, nodding. So what does that mean for the family? It meant that my mother had to be there for us, be the father and be the mother. She was the anchor. My mother, Mary Chivenjere, was the anchor of that family, because my father would not be there. So if there were needs in the family, it was my mother there. If there were issues, it was my mother. So I really I cannot emphasize it enough to say how much we need to appreciate the women who remained in those homes when the pastors were out preaching, and even the reverends, they were out preaching and dealing with parishioners and so on. The role of the wife was very, very important, and my mother took it on 100%, never grumbling, but was a solid pillar for the family. These ladies must be appreciated, and I wish we could clap for them.
Another big hand clap for the ladies. Besides or behind every successful man is a lady. Thank you, Charity. Next, go to Dr. Cavallo. You partly grew up in Gahini, in the Kinuka family, and you ended up in Austria, in Salzburg or Vienna. Please share some anecdotes of the Gahini days and of the Kinuka family.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Albert. And what a wonderful day it is. Congratulations, George, Rose, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming to this wonderful event. I think I want to begin by thanking George and for this idea, the idea of being grateful, the idea of thanking God. There's been a lot of talk about corruption in this country, but the greatest form of corruption, in my view, is a failure to give credit where credit is due. In fact, most people instead now seek credit by discrediting others. But the idea of giving credit where credit is due is good, and especially if that credit is to God, it's especially important. So really, thank you very much for that. And I also would like to thank the Bishop for the wonderful words. Still in the line of giving credit where credit is due, your words were wonderful. I think I was seated to a friend of yours, and you was said his teaching like that persuaded me to go to church. I'm misquoting, maybe that's what he said. But going back to the time when Gahini, that's around 1958, 1957, 1958. In fact, I went to Gahini to visit my uncle, the late Josiah Kinuka, the father of George. He had come to Uganda to visit his brother, my father, and he found me. I remember the day. He stopped by the roadside in a bus. He was coming from Kabale to Mbarara, and I was looking after cows by the roadside. And then he stopped to ask for directions, and I happened to be there, and he asked, "Young boy, come here." So I went to him, and he said, "You know," he was asking me now where my father's house was. And of course, I took him. But he had first started listening to me, because I was out of school, in and out of school, in and out of school many times because of school fees and so on. But the little time I was in school, I would cram a lot of things. And I remember that I was reciting something when he had me as he waited for me to come to him. Then after he visited for 2 days at our home, he asked my father, said, "Can I take this boy to Gahini? Because it seems he's not in school and yet he should be in school." And that's how I went to Gahini at my uncle's invitation. That was 1958 when we arrived. And I learned Kinyarwanda. I remember my teacher was a gentleman called Nyanjwenge, and actually, I'm proud to say I was the best in Kinyarwanda. In fact, I speak better Kinyarwanda than many people who speak Kinyarwanda. And I'm happy. I remember friends of mine, people who looked after me, who liked me, like Kabrames. I see Frida there. The mother was a wonderful friend of mine. So Gahini was a very special place at that time. And I remember when we arrived, George was not there. He was in school. But of course, his name was big in the home as the one who broke through. And he came to be my inspiration from that time, because he represented somebody who broke through the ranks and became something special when the rest of us were still small. And even when he went further, he remained an example that you would quote. But Gahini was a wonderful time for me. I arrived at the time and I found my fellow members of the Kinuka family, but I fitted very between James, who was the last born, the father of this young man here, and Norman. I was born 1948. Norman was born 1947, and James was born 1940. So I kind of became the child between them, and the three of us grew together in the Kinuka family. And from then on, I could have said I'm a Kinuka myself, because there was from then on I lived with the Kinukas. Even when we went back as refugees to Uganda, came back as refugees, I still was a lot of the time with the Kinukas. So I took a lot of benefit from that family. The family loved me very much. I became what I am really because of my interaction with them, because of the examples of a missionary upbringing. When I was reading the book that George wrote, a lot of things were coming back, and I really enjoyed that memory lane. And a very good idea that you wrote that, George, and we look forward to discussing it more today. Now, when I think, I don't know what else I can tell you about Gahini, but we came back as refugees. I remember we were smuggled by Dr. Church in early 1960, late 1959. Dr. Church was a missionary doctor in Gahini. And when we were, after the trouble started, we needed to come back to Uganda. And Dr. Church smuggled that. I remember he put us in his car, covered us with a blanket, and that's how we crossed the border, and he took us to the other side. So that missionary life at the beginning, the entire life in Gahini did not stop there, because as the book tells you, even after the refugee life in Uganda, we also maintain that contact and that connection and remained really beneficiary of a missionary life. So I'm a very strong beneficiary of the missionary life that we enjoyed from the time I understood to the time to my upbringing actually throughout was because of that missionary upbringing. I don't know what else I can add on from that time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your Gahini days, some joyous, some painful. The Gahini people, Gahini community, if you lived in Gahini, can you please put up your hands? And I see Mrs. Karimzo, I see the Sharitas, the Kinukas. Let's clap for the Gahini community, the East African Revival Roadside in Gahini. I'll now go to Ambassador Bernadette Olwo Freyers. As I told you, she was the first female ambassador to Germany and the first female ambassador in the world to be accredited to the Vatican in its 900-year-old history. Ambassador Bernadette Olwo, could you please tell us about your days in foreign service and with Ambassador Kinuka and how diplomacy was at that time compared to today? Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. I really feel very, very privileged to be sitting among these eminent persons to give a little testimony or testament about my relationship with the Ambassador George Kinuka. In fact, at the beginning, I thought, do I really? I never served with him anywhere in his stations when he was posted. But then I realized that I spent 6 years of his 26 years in foreign affairs with him at headquarters. Because when he came back in 1982, I had already been there 79, and we were together until 87, when I left to go to Home Service, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ambassador George, like his book says, is one of those who is the epitome of diplomacy. He is quiet but efficient, and a friend of mine was saying, you see him moving from office to office because the capacity in which he served was protocol. And protocol is the heart of foreign service. That means you have to do everything. You have to welcome visitors who are seeing the president. You have to prepare for the president or the Minister of Foreign Affairs when he's going out. So really you are the heart of the headquarters. I was head of department of Western Europe when I came back in 1979 until 83, and then I became head of department of North and South America, which we call the Americas. So we really served together as heads of departments, because then we would be meeting in all our meetings together with the minister, weekly meetings of heads of departments. So I got to know George very well and to appreciate. I mean, of course, my own story is unusual because I joined Foreign Affairs in 1973 as Foreign Service officers. Did my 6 months of training at Institute of Public Administration. 74 was posted to Germany as third secretary, that is a junior Foreign Service officer. October of 74, I'm called home and I'm made ambassador. So within 1 year, I jumped from grade 6 to grade 1. So I sort of had to grow up very, very quickly. And really what helped me are colleagues, my colleague ambassadors and heads of departments that I worked with in many places. Because I always asked what I didn't know. And I mean, I think my strength is humility. Because I'm able to own something when to say I don't know it. Can you help me? I'm able to call a colleague from wherever and say, I don't know. But I realized that was not exceptional, because when he was in India with Ambassador Kamba, he left him there after 2 or 3 years of being together, and he was acting as head of the mission. So he was also really not thrown into the deep at one point or another. And that happens to many of us, many of foreign service officers. You might be junior, and you are the second in command, and the day your boss leaves, you are in charge. So you really have to swim or sink. And another thing is that in foreign affairs, we are many, and you can serve there for many years, but you may not be able to serve with one person at any one time, because either he's in mission when you're at headquarters, or you're both in different missions. So you may get to know each other by names, or just in the corridors when you all meet at headquarters for consultations. So for me, it was such a privilege that I was able to serve together with the Ambassador Kinuka at headquarters for 6 years together. That meant I really benefited from all his experiences as a senior colleague. Albert, you asked what it was to serve at that time. Those were very difficult times, by the way, because 79 we had liberation. And then 80 we had elections, which were contested. So they were all, you always had, you already had people in the bush throwing bombs here and there. And in this book you'll see the Kinukas lost their car twice in those upheavals. And I just thought to myself, but Rosebell, what is she made of? How can one person lose 2 cars at gunpoint and still be strong enough to go through it and survive it? Because sometimes you could make a mistake and the next thing is you are shot. But I think by the grace of God, because of who they are, they believe, they are calm. When that happens, they say, God, take over. And I think that's a very strong point for the family.
Thank you, Ambassador Kinuka, for mentoring young diplomats like Ambassador Orowo, who was, by the way, 28 when she was appointed ambassador. I'm going to request the ambassadors here today, just stand up. The ambassadors. I've seen Ambassador Ibrahim Muchibi. I've seen Ambassador James Mugume. Remain standing. I've seen Ambassador Patrick Mugoya, Ambassador Mu Katende, Ambassador Hatega, Ambassador Sise Taliwaku, Ambassador Professor Arthur Gakwandi. Can we give them a very big hand clap? Between them or among them, they have 500 years of experience, I think. Because if you put 50. Yes, so because of time, we'll wind up, but I want to let you know that the foreword of the book was written by Professor Stanley Tumwine. They met at Makerere University. Professor, you can wave, some people may not remember you. That's Professor Stanley Gavile Tumwine. Honorable. I've also seen a classmate of Ambassador Kinuka from Mwiri, Dr. William Nganwa. And any other Mwiri OP who was there that time, apart from Dr. Nganwa. I've seen a classmate of his at Chigezi High School, Mr. Yusuf Kagumire. And any other schoolmates. And he was with Mrs. Karimzo in nursery. Baby class. So thank you very much, panelists. We are shortening it because of time. And I'm now going to request the Master of Ceremony for the next session, Eddie McCoy, come and take over as we officially launch the book and go into the next segment. Can you give the panelists another hand clap, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Albert, for a very lively discussion. I think we have all learned a lot, and thank you for your service in your different capacities. We are just going to have one more excerpt. Mr. Nasasira to come and read it.
Good evening, everyone. I am Paul Nasasira, one of the grandchildren of Ambassador George Kinuka. I'm reading from page 27 for those who have the book. Unfortunately, many of my siblings passed on during their prime years. Presently, only Joy and I remain alive. Yet despite the sorrow of losing our brothers and sisters prematurely, we find solace in the fact that they left behind descendants who have become a source of immense joy. The descendants, now their own children, carry on the legacy of the Kinuka family. My childhood in Gahini remains etched in my memory as a time of simple joys. Despite limited material possessions, we reveled in the simple pleasures of outdoor play, filling our days with so much activity that we scarcely dwelled on what we lacked. Surrounded by the Banyarwanda community in Gahini, despite our Banyankole origin from Ankole, Uganda, we never felt like outsiders. As children, we engaged and played alongside Rwandan kids, naturally picking up the Nyarwanda language. In fact, this day, I speak Nyarwanda more fluently than my native tongue, Runyankole, a linguistic phenomenon I later learned was rooted in being introduced to Nyarwanda before the age of 10. While our parents dedicated themselves to evangelism, we the children relished the carefree joys of childhood. One cherished memory was our trips to swim in the pristine waters of Lake Muhazi, a small, picturesque lake nestled amidst Gahini hills, perpetually refreshed by its hillside tributaries. Because of being young and small, we often faced exclusion from the older boys during these swims, directed to join the girls at one end while the boys were at the other. Undeterred, I devised a strategy to swim during off hours with the other small boys like me. My life as a youngster in Gahini was exciting and enjoyable. My parents shielded me and my siblings from their struggles and ensured we lacked nothing essential. It was an early lesson in resilience and selflessness once I carried it into my own life.
Thank you very much. So we are going to go into the next stage of this function, the official launch of the book. But just to give you a little background, I was one of the people who started the writing process. I actually did the transcribing. The project was started by Stephen Kinuka. He felt his father had to share his story. For those of you who know Uncle George is a very humble man, very professional, and the book is about service commitment and also serving with integrity. I know initially he was a bit hesitant, but we convinced him to write his story, and it's a good story. I encourage all of you to get it, and we shall pick very valuable lessons from there. So I'll just ask, I'll have the honor of inviting the chief guest, Bishop Nathan Gasatura, to come and launch this book. Yeah, so he can come forward. Then we shall give him instructions on what to do.
The CDF is giving orders to the CIC. You said the chief guest and then you say, I command you. Maybe when we get old, that seems to happen more. I was asked very briefly to say something about the author of this book. Solo Uncle Ambassador George William Kinuka. Now we shall add author Kinuka, because his memoirs have joined the Amazon and other distinguished writers. And of course, I'm sure your Makerere will begin to draw from that rich history. Number two, I may not have brushed shoulders much or come too close to Uncle George, but my family and his family knew each other quite closely. And indeed, as the MC mentioned it, one of the core top qualities and traits that I have seen and loved and been inspired by was, in spite of growing through the ranks, being an ambassador is a job that comes under Minister of Foreign Affairs. But can you identify with me that we all seem to honor ambassadors more than even ministers? Many times, ministers are busy, of course, doing their job, but this is a very rare rank that many people climb to. But in spite of that, this great diplomatic son of a missionary, he displayed such profound humility. I loved that. I was always touched by that. And humaneness that was beyond many people that assume these ranks. Thank you so much for being a shining light, for being a torch light to many, even up to this day. His dear wife, Rosebell, is a daughter of the Nechirenzi, the Bashambo who ruled Mbororo. And that's where this little man's name, Makowore, comes from. I think Makowore is your great-grandfather? Great-great-grandfather. And grandfather to Professor Kakwenzire, the father to Eddie. And, you know, we crisscrossed a lot. So basically, we have two giants that God brought together. They may not have associated much of their success to their bringing, but the Warisa, from which, the clan from which, I'm not blocking you, I'm sorry. The Warisa clan from which, or from whom, our ambassador George Hales were the rulers in Buhweju until 1901, as you read in his book, when the British colonialists, you know, abolished that and integrated them into Ankole, but they were part and parcel of that leadership, while the family of Rose were leaders. So, in Rwanda, I want to transliterate. They say umwana gwa mwiterura, that the kid, if is not taken care of and brought up, nurtured well, guided well from the beginnings and from the small, you know, tossing and tumbling time, that kid will never come out. He will definitely be damaged before he becomes. But another riddle says, ngo isuku ijirisoko. Nyakuba, honorable, Monsieur Honorable Docteur Kabaho. What does that mean? Can you tell them? Isuku ijirisoko.
Cleanliness has origins.
Cleanliness has a kind of fountain, but really cleanliness is much broader. It's hygiene, it's the care, it is a holistic, spiritual, psychological, emotional, intellectual, mental kind of cleanliness. Obhangwa. So these guys hail from nobility. And we want to thank God that that nobility shines through. I'm not going to say much more, but people that just get into prosperity, when they have not had that solid bedrock background, you know how they behave. So thank you so much for really becoming such role models in your humility, in your grace. Because of your humility. thank you for doing it and certainly being able to pass it on to your children. That said, the privileged guest of honor is going to cut the ribbon. Yeah. So, so with your blessing and on behalf of Uncle Ambassador George and Mama Rosebell, Kinuka, and all of you friends, loved ones, and support throughout the journey of this life, I am cutting this ribbon in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. With that, I launch the book so that each one of you buys how much is it? 50. Only. Second meal, 50,000. Mukama wa mukisa. Then I unveil it. It is the first time I'm being this big, you know. I don't know what it is. So thank you for guiding me. Okay. So, je vais signer le livre d'Ami Book, le fake book, in other words. We are going now to take it to Ambassador, author, diplomatic sign of a missionary sign. No, just pretend you are signing so they take a picture. Yeah. The picture always good. That's why we have Officer has signed. Autographed action. God bless you. Patricia, signing a guru baterina bakureba wagishereka. Signing
the panelists also you're going to sign. Mrs. Muhozi Alice, as the book reviewer, please come forward. No more command. Okay, she's not around, sorry.
What shall I bring to Jehovah? Lift your hands.
Okay, I think those are enough signatures. You have to keep time.
One more time. Jungle Church. Hey.
We are going to have a group photo.
Lift your hands. You alone deserve.
We are coming to the end of this session.
You alone deserve the praise. For the last time.
Around here. Albert, around.
Come on, let him know.
Come.
For he has done so very. For he has done so much. He's done so much for you. What shall I render to Jehovah? To Jehovah. Come on, everybody declare. For he has done so very much for me.
Stephen, Eddie, and Albert, who persuaded Ambassador George Kinuka to write this book. He has actually redeemed himself. There's in foreign affairs who could believe that he's not a Mnyarwanda. You are born in Gahini and then your father ends up in a refugee camp. How can you convince us that you are not? So this book is really a very eye-opening and a very inspiring art that will help all of us to get to know him and to get to know each other a little better, because he mentions many people in that book and we sort of relate to all of them. We really would like to commend him and thank him for the courage that he eventually took to be able to write this book and to tell his story.
May I add to Ambassador's words that I'm one of those that also walked the path of his father as a missionary to Rwanda, but also to say we are very proud of being Banyarwanda, those who are, because it's a blessed tribe. Whatever redeeming means, I don't know.
You are too far away from us.
So may God bless each of the tribes that he created. There is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of being a Mnyarwanda.
No, sorry, perhaps that's not the word I should have used. But it's nice also to know that you are your own tribe. He's a Mnyankore, and we like to know that he's a Mnyankore, but born and bred in Rwanda. And actually, he should take up the citizenship anyway, because by birth you are there.
He deserves it.
Not really, but okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bishop. Just a few words from our auntie.
Friends, I know I should have finished as a panelist, but I thought I should just say something briefly. You know, we are all products of revivalists. Mami Kinuka was a revivalist, my father, and many others. But I imagine if they were here, if Mami Kinuka was here, if my father was here, if all those revivalists that you know were here, I'm just wondering what they would say to us. Do you know that what they would say? They would say it's good to look back, but their concern right now would be about our own spiritual standing. They would say, very true. Mukajunwa. Am I right? That's what they would say. Mushinurwe, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? That's what revival was about. And if my Kinuka was here, if my father was here, that would be the message for all of us. So let's go and consider that. Tushinurwe, we know the Lord Jesus. That is what revival is all about. The Lord bless you.
Thank you, Auntie Charity. Just to inform you, Mr. Kinuka has a great grandson here. And she's 20 years, so we are singing a great grandchildren. People Mkolelhanga.
Thank you very much. Everybody is asking who this white man is. This is Reverend Bowman. He was a missionary in Gahini, working with the Reverend Kinukas. Of course, he's since gone, because if Ambassador Kinuka was 2 years and is now 90, it means must be about 150. So he was one of the superiors of Reverend Kinuka. And those who have not yet written your books, please contact me, Gomez Book House. Time to tell your stories. Thank you very much.
You have to put the phone there.
We've wound up our second part of this function, and now we are going to have dinner. We kindly ask you not to leave. Dinner has been prepared for us in the dining hall. We have a balcony area and the main dining hall. The main dining hall is mostly for those who are 50 plus. So if you are below 50, we will use the balcony area, which is also so probably just some housekeeping reminder. The restrooms are through here. Then you'll be seeing the signs there, or you can just use the main entrance right here in the parking to access the lobby area where the restrooms are. Probably if you could just stay seated for a moment, our ushers will guide you into the dining area row by row. So we will do this quickly. Thank you very much.
Please smile. This is the official camera. Here.
We are here.
Say cheese. Embassy. Say embassy.
Okay,
Thank you very much. We shall now be ushered into the dining room.
Can they please pass this?
Hey, sorry.
There's some who tell you, don't see it, but some pick up. The one who's coming, that's
First and foremost, let us give God a big hand. Thank you so much. On this day, we are here not only to celebrate one, but three momentous occasions. One of them being our my beloved great grandfather's birthday, his anniversary, his 56th anniversary, and the book launch of the path of today is the launch of his book, The Path of the Missionary Son. I hope all of you have been able to take a look and get a copy. And for those who have, thank you so much. And for those who have not yet, the copies are still available. We are very grateful and glad to be here to celebrate this achievement with you, my great-grandfather. For his birthday, his 90th birthday, it is not easy to make it, and we thank God who has brought him this far, and I pray that you will guide him throughout his journey. Great-grandma and great-grandpa, today is your anniversary. It teaches us to be patient, to be together. It is not easy to spend 56 years together. I may not know much about love, but this is a test of love in time, and surely you have passed to me. So this is a very great day. I thank you all for coming, and I pray that the good Lord bless all of you. And for the book, I pray that it teaches you different achievements and different benefits. Because to me, today, my great-grandfather's book is being published, but to me it's not only a publication, it is an inspiration from him to all of us. I pray that God will guide all of you and protect you. Yours faithfully, the only great-granddaughter of this family. Thank you. This is my brother. He's the second great-grandchild. As you can see the difference of age, but he's my brother and he's the second great-grandchild of this family.
Thank you very much. Shall we have the grandchildren?
So I'll be representing the children. not many here yet, so they are still coming. Anyway, this is a very special day, as you all see. It's Grandpa's birthday, it's a book launch, it's our 56th anniversary. I thought you can okay. So I written a very long speech, but English might become mine. So I'm going to go from the heart. Grandpa, you have been such a great man in my life. You have been a father figure since my dad died. You have been a good role model to us. You have shown us what it means to show love, to show kindness, to show care. And you've been with me every step of the way. For that, I'm always going to be grateful. Jaja, you've been wonderful. You give tough love and good love. You've educated me, helped me in everything. Sometimes you fight, sometimes you're happy, but you're the glue that brings this family together. And without you, this family is not possible. On this anniversary, 56th wedding anniversary, not many people have reached that age of marriage. But the fact that you can do it, all of us can. I'll stop this short. So, happy birthday, success on the book, and happy wedding anniversary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin and the others. I will carry on with our speeches in just a short while. So let's have some entertainment as you continue with your dinner. He knows their children like the others, their children in grace. So I'll ask Lillian Baguma Kinuka to come with Kriven Kazoba. Lillian is Stephen's wife, and Kriven is Patricia's husband. So I'll ask Kriven and Lillian to come.
Good evening, everyone. As the MC has introduced me, I'm Lillian. I'm proudly Stephen's wife, mother to the two children who did the book reading today. I'll keep it short. I won't go into the history and the happiness of today. I'll just take you to my first encounter with both Papa and Mommy. And for me, these resonate with me so much because I know that the moment I met them and the first words that they say to me, I felt at home in this family. So that is why I want to share this moment. In this home, we are referred to as children in love. We are not children-in-law. We are children in love, which gives us even a more precious position than our husbands and wives who are originally from Papa and Mommy. The first time I met Papa was in hospital. I had escorted Stephen. He was having surgery, and at the time he hadn't yet put the ring on the finger, so I was nervous. I didn't know if it would be ideal for me to be meeting his parents. So I was a bit, hesitant, a bit scared, seated in the hospital wondering, what is this going to be? What's my first encounter going to be like? Will they think I'm not worthy of their son? And in came Papa, and he said to me, people call me, I am George William Kinuka, but for my friends and family, I'm called Papa. So please, feel free to call me Papa. From that moment, I felt I didn't have to question anything I said. I didn't have to question anything I would do in life because I was at home. He made me feel at home even before actually Stephen made me feel at home. So that was my first encounter with Papa. And then fast forward to my first encounter with Mommy, or my first visit to Mbarara. We go, Stephen was going to show me his home. His parents' home, And being a town girl, I didn't come ready for the visit. I didn't have boots, I didn't have a hat, I didn't have a walking stick. And so mommy walked up to me and said, "My dear daughter, you're not ready for the farm. I need to make you ready." And then she said, "I'm going to fix this." So she walked in, went, did some magic as she always does, and then came back with, she said, "This is Papa's old hat, you're going to wear it. This is Papa's walking stick, and this is Papa's old pair of boots. I hope they can fit you. Please wear them, and now we can go to the farm." Immediately, once again, I felt at home. Never at any point did I ever feel like I was a random person joining a family. I've always felt at home, Papa. I've always felt at home, Mommy. And it's a blessing to see you celebrate 56 years. I hope someday we can do the same with Stephen. I hope we can also live to 90 years. We don't do taekwondo, but maybe we should start. We are blessed. I'm especially blessed to be a part of this family. And I thank you for loving me. I thank you for showing me what it means to be a good wife to a good husband. Mommy, you've been our rock, always. Everybody was celebrating Papa for writing his memoirs, but I want to give a special celebration to Mommy. She's been our rock. So this past year when she was unwell, I'm sure very many were shaken because we were wondering how would we do it without her. So please allow me to celebrate you, Mommy, for the amazing woman that you are. And once again, happy birthday, Papa. Congratulations on a great milestone. I love you both, and happy anniversary.
Praise Jesus. All protocol observed. Uncle George and Auntie Rose, you are blessed. The Bible calls you blessed. Because according to the Bible says, "Blessed are they that see their grandchildren, that see their children's children." But for you, God has given you a stepfather. You've given, when that bad report came out in March of 2022 about Uncle George's health, very many of us were scared. And then come last year, June of last year, and Rosebell, who has always been the rock, also became unwell. And she had very severe sciatic nerve pain, and it used to show. It would even show on her face. And it looked like the pain wouldn't go away. God's healing hand touched her, and the pain is no more. So Uncle George and I, it's in order to give thanks. And all I want to do this evening is thank God with and for you, and say to you, happy 56th marriage anniversary, and Uncle George, happy 90th birthday. My prayer for you is good health, energy, strength, and vitality. Thank you.
Apologies, I moved to Papa and Mommy's family, so sometimes I forget to introduce my own parents. Stephen has reminded me. So I'm here with my dad and my mom, Mzee Mpende and Mama Mpende. I'm also here with my second set of parents, Salongo Kimugwe and Mama Nalongo Kimugwe. These are my parents. They're the ones who raised me and who made me where I am today. So I'd like to appreciate that they were all able to join us here today. Thank you.
Lillian at Priven, at 90, love at 56, and legacy for generations. That is the book that we saw that is connecting the generations. And we thank you for the life you live together. To us, thank you for taking care of Uncle George. your life together has blossomed and blossomed and has never faded. There was actually one gentleman who was celebrating his anniversary, and next to him was his wife. But he was taking a glass of wine. So he was steadfastly gazing at his glass of wine and began to speak. You have been my companion for many years. You have never left me. In the bad and good times, you have always been there. So his wife next to him had these words. And she had never had such romantic words from him in a very long time. So she was touched, but she wanted to make sure and said, is it you really speaking, or it is that wine you are taking? And he replied and said, it is actually me talking to the wine. But now we want to watch glimpses of this unfading love that we are celebrating for 56 years through a memory lane. But the way that screen is positioned, I don't know if Uncle George and Aunt Rose will be able to see it. But as we get things aligned and started, maybe my co-MC permitting, can I invite
Thank you. Mr. George, Mr. President Kinuka, my Lord Bishops, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to make a few remarks on behalf of our Association of Retired Foreign Service Officers for this very important occasion when we celebrate the 3 milestones: the launch of Mr. Kinuka's memoirs, celebrating his 90th birthday, and the 56 years of marriage to Rosemary. A rich account of a life well lived. Mr. Kinuka is a gentleman whose story is intertwined with the story of our country's diplomacy. Having joined the Foreign Service in 1964, Mr. Kinuka served our mission in India, followed by service in our mission in London, then to Kinshasa, back to headquarters, then to Zambia as High Commissioner, back to headquarters where he served as head of department, and then Chief of Protocol and Marshal of the Diplomatic Corps, finally retiring in 1990. For all those 26 years, Ambassador Kinuka gave himself wholeheartedly to the Foreign Service, with a sense of duty that never wavered, and a deep love for the work of representing our country with honor, with discipline, and with dignity. He rose through the ranks, doing work in a very good way, with unshakable commitment to principle, and his long career culminating in his role as ambassador, as head of the department, and chief of protocol. Now, for those who do not know what protocol is, protocol can be equated with the engine oil, which helps the car to run smoothly. If there is no oil in your car and you drive it, the engine will heat up and you will get an engine knock. And so, in running of state affairs, protocol is very important. if the protocol is not there, there will be an coordinated movement and there will be chaos in the way state functions are handled. So Ambassador Kinuka was responsible to meticulously plan and execute all state functions and ceremonies with utmost dignity, decorum, and efficiency. On top of that, Ambassador Kinuka was responsible for accrediting all ambassadors and diplomats who were sent to represent their countries in Uganda and to facilitate them in the smooth operations of the numerous works and embassies that are here. Furthermore, in the State House, Ambassador Kinuka handled all HE presidents' external programs and travel for state visits or international conferences, ensuring that the president participated in all those activities in a smooth manner, while internally he handled programs visiting heads of states and governments. This, ladies and gentlemen, was a very big responsibility which Ambassador Kinuka executed successfully. For many of us who joined the Foreign Service, I joined in 1979 with my cohort, we already found Ambassador Kinuka as a towering figure in the ministry. Ambassador Kinuka was always very well groomed, smartly dressed, whether in these suits, Kaunda suits, what we used to call Cuban shirts, very soft-spoken gentleman, and a real diplomat by excellence. As young officers, we looked towards Ambassador Kinuka and longed for the day when we would reach that kind of status he had reached. I don't recall any day in my career ever seeing Ambassador Kinuka angry or raise his voice, even when we made mistakes as young officers. He never stood above us. He stood with us. He guided and invested in the next generation, showing us not just how to represent our country, but how to carry ourselves with humility, professionalism, and pride. Ambassador Kinuka's devotion to the Foreign Service was not just a career, it was a vocation, a calling, a way of life that reflected a deep sense of purpose and patriotism. His mentorship and guidance laid the foundation for the eventual success of our careers and many other officers who worked in the ministry. But beyond the work, we became not just co-workers, but we became part of Uncle George's family, always welcoming us with Auntie Rose to their home through the bonds of friendships that we developed over the years. And we've continued to be in touch with each other, shaping our families since 1990 when he required, up to today. Even more inspiring is how Ambassador Kinuka balanced that public calling with a life of private strength anchored in faith and family. We congratulate you, Ambassador Kinuka and Aunt Rosebell, upon your 56th wedding anniversary. This is a major milestone in the journey we've shared together. A gracious and faithful companion in Aunt Rose, whose presence and partnership have been central to every chapter in your life, Uncle George. You are indeed our role models as young officers. Together, you have raised a family grounded in Christian values, a home where faith is lived, where character is more important than titles, and where children learn not only from words, but from example. We appreciate and thank the children, Patricia, Juliet, Hope, and Stephen, together with your spouses, for being there for your parents. Today, as Ambassador Kinuka was launched, we are receiving more than the personality. We are inheriting a legacy. A testimony of what it means to serve one's country with integrity, to love one's family with devotion, and to walk in faith with consistency. Uncle George, we thank you for your leadership. We thank you for your mentorship. We thank you for the love of the Foreign Service, your commitment to family, your unshaken faith, and for your lasting friendship. We look forward to seeing many more publications from you and other colleagues who have retired. Let me conclude by some words of Isaiah, which beautifully reflects the path we have both walked. And it says, this is Isaiah 46, verse 4. Even in your old age and gray-haired, I am He. I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. Sustain you, and I rescue you. So Isaiah 46, verse 4. On behalf of the members of our association, retired foreign service officers, of which you are our senior member, we congratulate you on your 90th birthday. We congratulate you and Rose Bell on your 56th wedding anniversary. And we congratulate you for this extraordinary and lasting legacy you have given us today. Uncle George, we have a present for you from our Association of Retired Foreign Service Officers, and I'm going to request Ambassador Olowo, Ambassador Katende, why don't you join us with the current President of our Association, join Ambassador Olowo and Atega to please pass on this gift from the Association to Uncle George and Auntie Rosemary. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, the Association of Foreign Service Officers. Thank you, Ambassador Mugoya, for those kind remarks. Indeed, ago, 56 years ago, there was somebody who stood by Uncle George, and that is Uncle Norman Shalita, as his best man, and along with I think the Stavraza, who was the matron. They are the ones that accompanied this wonderful couple to the beginning of their journey of love. So let me ask Uncle Norman to come and share his remarks, his memories, and whatever else he has on his heart.
Please, because George speaks in Rwanda better than I can. Yet I'm Rwanda, he's Munyankole. Mine will be a very, very short one, and from a different angle. First, I'll tell you that I've known George more than all of you put together. Nobody can challenge me. Because I don't know how many of you were around in 1945, 46. That's when I met George. In fact, I know in Uganda, I know only 2 people alive who I met before I met George. I have a very good memory of my very, very early years. This is one is Mrs. Vikangaga. Another one is somebody by the name of Samba Ingale. He's number 3. I met George very briefly, and then we went different ways. But one thing we had in common is stayed in civil service. And to cut a long story short, I want to tell you that I've known George work in civil service. No, I was not a diplomat, although I was higher than all those people put together. He was a permanent secretary. So when we were doing here for food, I asked him to go ahead of them, and they all accepted. George, I would say he's really 60% Kinuka and 40% Sharita. He's so close to all members of the Sharita family. The bishop, my mom, all my sisters and brothers, all of them are so close to George. Now today, if I call any of my children, most of them are away, and my brothers and sisters, they will say hello. The next, he said, how is Uncle George? Before they even ask me about my wife, because they know how close George is to me and to the family. So I'm very, very proud of that. And because of that, I've known him in many, many ways. At the risk of being a bit political, I wish there were a few politicians here. I'll tell them that what they say, there is a lot of corruption in civil service. All civil servants are corrupt, but I'd like this one to go out. That there are few civil servants who one can vouchsafe for. Calling there are so many judges in the civil service, incorrupt. Try for that. They are there. I can vouchsafe for George. If you are to ask me to name one person whom you know to be reliable, dependable, with all the integrity you can think of, the person you can depend on, really without thinking. In fact, I usually tell my wife, if somebody does something straight and I tell her that there's very many Georges left around. George. I said I've known him longest, and perhaps he thought I was, of all the men he knows, I was the best man. That's why he chose me to be his best man. And God blessed George with a wonderful wife in the person of Rose. You know what President Obama used to call Karimuzo? And I said, what's that? Oh, do you remember what he used to call him my donkey? At the risk of not offending Rose because she's very close to me, and at the same time I call her a princess. Charles can hear me out. Rose is a princess from that part of Kigesi. But Rose is a donkey in that home. All the goodness, all the beauty, all the things that you see at Uganda, at Mutumbe, wherever, it is this precious lady. Where she gets the energy, I don't know. a princess. Our friends here, the diplomats, talked a lot about George's diplomacy. I'm not one myself, not in the least. But even my wife confirms this. In fact, before George became with the big, my wife used to tell me that I wish you could find a way of getting George to go to Rwanda and start a school of diplomacy in Rwanda because of what we know of George. All the diplomacy that you can think of is part of George. So we are lucky to have a few people like George. These children you saw here and grandchildren, you are very lucky to have had a grandfather, a father, a great-grandfather like him. But luck goes with responsibility. So you are challenged. You have something to emulate. I don't know if you can measure up to half of what George is, you have done very, very, very well. George is so dependable. In his weaknesses, whatever, George will always keep his word. George, really, I don't know. I didn't get to know much of his father and mother. I'm from Rwanda, and most of these people are talking of Gahini. People like John Kawai and others, Gahini. I was born in Gahini, but grew in Burundi. And from Burundi, I came transited Chigezi, but spent a lot of my time in Uganda here. But we have to thank God that we have a few people like George there. And not take these things for granted. There are very few. That's why there's a lot of whatever people call corruption and things like that, because they're getting fewer and fewer. So we should thank God for people like George. George, we congratulate you for clocking 90 years and for having wonderful years, 56 years of beautiful, wonderful marriage with a princess in the person of Rose. God bless you all for having come here, and we're all lucky to have been able to come and get associated with George. When the little son Lord, we need to pray for the family. We have George as only one sister. Sorry to say this, but I'm part of that family. I don't have to apologize. The sister is not well, so when you walk back, put her in your prayers. Auntie Joy Nyenda. You commit her in the God's grace and kindness. We pray for her. And remember many others. George is not very strong, but it's amazing how he conducts himself and he does all that he does in that weakness. But perhaps a lot of thankfulness goes to a wonderful partner like Rose. And children, part and company, thank you very, very, very much for all this, getting us all together and giving us a chance of celebrating this time with Uncle George. God bless you both.